You are listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe News Hour. Welcome to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here and that you want to listen to the trucking news. As always, I have lots of news to get to, so let's get right to it. In this story, an old school flyer shows how much has changed and how much has stayed the same in trucking. A decades-old flyer written in honor of an American truck driver is a stirring reminder of the old-school trucking industry. The prose poem, What is a Truck Driver, by Dan Valentine, appeared in 1960 and pays tribute to the truck drivers who kept America moving. Let me read from the poem, called What is a Truck Driver? And they have their name wrong. It's Jim Valentine. He's a big guy. He's a small guy. Or I'll put in woman. He comes in all shapes and sizes. Short, tall, skinny, fat. Laughing, serious, happy, and sad. He's transportation with a grin on his face. Distribution with a cocked left eyebrow. He's progress with diesel fumes in his hair. He makes his living holding 10 tons of steel in his hands. He has highways in his eyes. He's a truck driver. He hauls milk for the nation's babies, dresses for the nation's ladies, steel for the nation's war machines, and bread for the nation's breakfast tables. Big boots, work pants, and a cap on the side of his head. He's a businessman with grease on his elbow, philosopher with a bill of lading in his pocket, diplomat with a steering wheel in his hands. He likes straight highways, blonde waitresses, slot machines that pay off, friendly cops, and bonus checks. The road's his home. He drives today so the world can live tomorrow. Laughing, cocky, husky, he's tough enough to hold his cargo against a hurricane. And gentle enough to stop 10 tons of wheeled steel to let a 12-ounce kitten cross the road. You could tell where to get the best piece of apple pie on the highway and where the radar traps are, and which roads to take to make the fastest time. He hates in the order named phonies, road hogs, tough traffic cops, highway way stations, small-town justices of the peace, steep hills, cackling cargo, and weak coffee. He's America on wheels. He's big business with a road map in his pocket. He's a truck driver. Without him, there would be no gasoline to run the nation's automobiles, no steel to make the machines, no concrete to build the highways, no merchandise to spin the wheels of trade. Born 200 years ago, he would have been a buccaneer, a privateer, a freebooting soldier of fortune. Born 100 years ago, he would have been a frontier scout, a stagecoach driver, a rider of the Pony Express. He has eyes that look over the mountains. He likes to see the other side of hills. He eats better than a banker, dresses like a Texas rancher, is more independent than a newly elected senator, and is temperamental as an opera prima donna. He's an authority on politics, women, highway construction, baseball, and the best way to run a trucking company. He likes the feel of the night wind on his face and the sound of a purring motor. He lives by the code of the road and passes no man by who needs a helping hand. He's got problems, not bashful in aiming complaints about the state of the world at large, and every trip he threatens to get off the road and live like the other man. But he never does, because the highway is a flirting Lorelei who hums a haunting tune for the men who chase the horizon on spinning wheels. And when the tires sing and the road is straight, moon is bright on a ribbon of cross-country highway, he's the happiest, most useful man in America. He's a truck driver. As written in this article, this was written in 1960. Hence, the he's, and because back then it was a mainly male-dominated field. But you can change it to he or she. Now up next, Fmcsa suspends hours of service for fuel haulers in 17 states after the hackers shut down a pipeline, which I'm sure that you all heard about. This was going on back in May. Fmcsa responded to a cyber attack targeting a vital U.S. pipeline by waiving hours of service requirements for truckers hauling fuel, or gas haulers, I call them. The Fmcsa issued a temporary hours of service exemption for truck drivers hauling gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other refined petroleum products to Alabama, Arkansas, District of Columbia, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. So up the eastern seaboard and across the south. Let's just put it that way. The hours of service suspension was issued in an attempt to prevent disruptions in the fuel supply chain following a cyber attack targeting the Colonial Pipeline. This pipeline delivers approximately 45% of the fuel consumed by the East Coast. The Colonial Pipeline was shut down following a ransomware attack by a hacker group called DarkSide. Since then, Colonial Pipeline has been able to restore some IT systems and is working with law enforcement and federal agencies, including the Department of Energy. It isn't clear how much money that DarkSide demanded or whether there are any plans to pay. On Monday, DarkSide took to Twitter to clarify that their motives for shutting down the pipeline was purely financial. As of Monday morning, Colonial Pipeline remained shut down May 10th. However, the company says that they're working to restore service from Sunday evening press release. And, of course, they are now back open and running into full capacity as of now. Now, this next story will grab your heart, and I've seen similar things going on. A stray duckling causes double semi-crash. A lone duckling was the cause of a crash between two semi-trucks in Connecticut last week. This happened on May 4th along Interstate 95. According to the local news channel, the duck was running through traffic on the highway. He lost his mommy and daddy. As drivers tried to avoid it, two semi-trucks got in a minor fender bender. Luckily, no one was hurt. A Connecticut state trooper was able to capture the little guy and bring it to a place called Hope Animal Rescue, where they'll raise it and make sure it gets grown to fly another day. And next up, a Border Patrol says a trucker was attacked by undocumented immigrants or illegals at a Texas truck stop. U.S. Border Patrol says that 3 people were apprehended after attacking a truck driver on Friday. The incident occurred on Friday morning at a truck stop in Encinial, Texas. According to a press release, the U.S. Border Patrol in Laredo sector. Authorities say that as the truck driver was sleeping in his vehicle, he heard people trying to climb into they call it, in the article, a windjammer, but it's up on the airfoil up on top of the truck. When he stepped out of the truck to investigate, 3 people ran away. Quote from the article, a short time later, the driver observed the same 3 subjects attempting to climb into a back of the airfoil. The driver exited the cab again with a flashlight in his hand to confront them. As the driver walked to the front of the tractor, he alleged that the 3 people rushed him. The driver stated that he began swinging his flashlight to defend himself. The driver witnessed these 3 run towards I-35. LaSalle County Sheriff's Office was contacted and responded. When authorities got to the scene, they were able to locate the 3 people hiding behind a store. 2 of them were bleeding from head injuries and admitted that they were struck by the truck driver during the altercation. Police later confirmed that the 3 people were from Mexico and had entered the U.S. illegally. Well, duh. What gave you the first clue, dude? Really? And this story you're not going to like. If you're anything of a decent person anyways. Trucker is facing charges for allegedly arranging to meet with a teen at a truck stop. I'm sorry, he should be strung up. A truck driver is facing multiple charges after allegedly arranging to meet with a teenager at a local truck stop. The incident happened on Sunday, May 9th, around 5:50 p.m. in Willington, Connecticut. According to Fairfield Citizen, troopers received a call from a family living on Ruby Road reporting a suspicious incident in which the family believed a truck driver was attempting to meet their 15-year-old child at a truck stop in Willington. Complaint led to the arrest of 45-year-old Sean M. Arnold of Auburn, Maine. Arnold is currently facing charges of risk of injury to a child, second-degree sexual assault, and enticing a minor by a computer. He's being held on a $250,000 bond. Oh, just wait till he gets into jail and they find that out. The other prisoners find that out. He'll be somebody's bitch. He'll be somebody's girlfriend. And up next, a truck driver faces federal charges after troopers discover 162 pounds of meth during a regular traffic stop. This happened in Indiana. The cops there say that a California truck driver is facing multiple charges after he was caught with a large amount of meth. California-based truck driver Deontay Williams, he's 27 years old, was arrested on May 7th following that traffic stop in Indiana. Troopers say that around 10 in the morning, an officer stopped a semi-truck driven by Williams on I-65 in Indianapolis for speeding. After speaking with Williams, the trooper noticed the smell of marijuana coming from the semi. They conducted a search of the vehicle and discovered 162 pounds of meth and a small amount of marijuana. Well, you're brilliant. Oh boy, I'm not going to even go there. Williams was arrested and is facing federal drug charges, which are pending. The Indiana State Police was assisted in the investigation by the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Postal Inspectors. I don't know why they would need postal inspectors, but anyway. And next, a pickup truck driver attempts to ram an Amazon truck off the road following a dispute over a package. Like, really? A pickup truck driver attempted to run an Amazon truck driver off the road in Florida. This happened the weekend of like the 8th or 9th, the beginning of May. And it was along Highway 1 in Brevard County, Florida. According to the Orlando News, the altercation began when an Amazon delivery driver was unable to deliver a package to the home of 61-year-old William Ulbrich due to company protocols and procedures. Because of this, he got pissed, called the Amazon driver a stupid MFer, and began chasing the driver in his Toyota pickup truck. Deputy reportedly recorded Ulbrich trying to ram his pickup truck into the Amazon truck on his dash cam and even saw him drive onto a grassy median and attempt to strike the delivery truck. Upon further investigation, Ulbrich denied attempting to ram it, but told officers that if he wanted to, he would have. He also told officers that the package he wanted delivered contained medical equipment. Ulbrich is currently facing charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill and reckless driving. See what that got you? You need your meds or that equipment or whatever, and then you go and have to serve time in jail for being stupid, you idiot. And this is beer abuse, alcohol abuse. A Budweiser beer truck rips through a residential home. A Budweiser beer truck created a messy cleanup for crews after crashing into the side of a house in Avon Lake, Ohio. This happened the morning of May 7th. According to Avon Lake Police, the Budweiser truck was traveling northbound on Lear Road and swerved to avoid crashing into a car eastbound on Electric Boulevard that had failed to stop at the intersection. As a result, the truck smashed into the side of a residential house. The driver of the car was cited for failure to yield right-of-way. The truck driver was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Homeowner was unharmed during the crash, but the house was significantly damaged, as you can see here in the photo. And the car was even totaled. And there again, this story is with the pipeline incident, but of course everything has been rectified and fixed as of the recording of the show. A lot of the fuel shortages and this kind of stuff was happening down in the Carolinas and Virginia. I ran into a little bit in Southern Virginia. So let's get to the article. Fuel shortages reported in multiple states in the wake of a cyber attack on the pipeline. So drivers in several southern states have reported finding no fuel at gas stations at a vital pipeline remains shut down due to that cyber attack. Friday, ransomware attacked on the Colonial Pipeline, as we all know, by the hacker group, has put fuel in short supply in several states, prompting North Carolina. Sorry about that. My cat decides she's going to do her Olympics while I'm trying to record the show. Prompting North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper to declare a state of emergency to ensure that drivers have access to fuel. As of the following week, the Tuesday morning, I'll get this out eventually, a large number of gas stations in the South are reportedly out of fuel. Patrick DeHaan, who is head of petroleum analysis with Gas Buddy, has reported that as of Tuesday morning, 7.6% of gas stations in Virginia are out of gas, which, I mean, you know, it's a big state. And that 4% of gas stations in North Carolina have run dry. Shortages have also been reported in Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. And these numbers may be low as our data stream is only hours old. And up next, first responders cut through metal to free a driver that was trapped for 2.5 hours. A truck driver was trapped inside his wrecked rig for over 2 hours after a single truck wreck in Washington. This happened on May 10th near Pasco, Washington, around 7:30 in the morning. According to the local news, police say that the truck driver was hauling double trailers filled with cow feed when it experienced a mechanical failure, overturned, and landed upside down. The impact destroyed the cab of the truck and trapped the driver inside. Yeah, you're lucky the driver ever even came out of that rig. It's so mangled and everything from the photo. You could see to the left of the EMT personnel. That's the cab of the truck right past the tandems. You can see the tandems up in the air there on that photo. The cab of the truck is just a mangled mess. You can't even tell where it is. Firefighters worked for 2 hours to cut through that twisted metal and pull the driver from the wreckage. The truck driver's health condition was not known at the time of writing of this article, but he was flown to the local regional medical center following extraction. The driver's identity was not released, and the exact cause of the wreck was still not known. It was still under investigation. And the first road check results are in, and 709 violations are discovered in 356 inspections. This is coming from New Hampshire. They released the results from the previous week's 72-hour truck inspection blitz, which happened May 4th through the 6th, as we all know. I did not run into anything. I did not even see anything. From what I understand, is like New Hampshire, Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, maybe. You know, there wasn't even that many states participating in it. This is from what rumors that I heard. The effort, though the effort was just wrapped up last week, the New Hampshire State Police have already compiled their detailed report on their results of this year's campaign. During that road check, New Hampshire State Police troopers inspected a total of almost 400 commercial vehicles, 356. Of those, 25 had no critical violations. After going through a level 1, these trucks are issued a decal. Troopers say that they discovered a total of 709 violations, of which 125 were critical and resulted in the vehicle or its driver being placed out of service. In other words, told to park it. Quote from the article, in total, 56 vehicles were placed out of service for critical safety violations, while 29 drivers were placed out of service for violations including possessing drugs, possessing alcohol, driving while not physically qualified, failing to maintain record of driving hours, not holding the proper class of driver's license, operating after suspension, and for continuing to drive after being declared out of service. Troopers issued 63 citations and made 1 arrest as a result of these inspections, said New Hampshire State Police. Troopers also shared more detailed reports on the conditions that led to some of the out-of-service orders. So, in Senborton, a trooper stopped a 2018 Hino box truck after the driver failed to pull into the inspection area. As a result, it was found that the driver was in possession of a controlled drug, was not keeping a required record of duty status, and was operating without passing a valid medical card after having been previously cited. And he keeps on driving. Additionally, it was found that the driver had failed to conduct a pre-trip inspection. The vehicle was not registered, and the company had failed to file a required biennial update with the Fmcsa. The driver was ultimately placed out of service and prohibited from operating a commercial motor vehicle while the vehicle was removed from the scene by a local towing company. So, I mean, this goes on for a little while, and you could read this article that I'll have in the show notes. I don't want to bore you with all the details of what happened, when, not what. And in this story, California Highway Patrol are investigating reports of an unusual incident, again involving a Tesla. Hang on just a second, I gotta wet the old whistle. California Highway Patrol confirmed that they are looking into the reports of a man sitting in the back seat of a Tesla with no one behind the wheel in Oakland, California. On May 8th, On May 8th, California Highway Patrol's Golden Gate Division confirmed that the agency had been made aware of an unusual incident, quote-unquote, involving a Tesla. They say that the incident involved a man riding in the back seat of a Tesla traveling on Bay Area roadways with no other person being seated in the driver's seat. Troopers say that they received reports about the man in the Tesla third hand and were actively investigating. And they have pictures here that show him sitting in the back seat like he's being chauffeured around. Oh my God. And he's like 20-something, you know. He thinks it's all funny and cool. They're asking drivers who spot any sort of unusual incident to immediately call 911 so that the officer can respond and an official investigation can begin. Tesla says that current autopilot features require active driver supervision and do not make the vehicle autonomous, meaning you can't sit in the back seat and let the damn car chauffeur you around. You have to be behind the wheel in case something happens that you could take over the controls. Good grief, I wish more people would listen to this show. And I'll make an announcement here at the end of this segment. I found some cool stats out that I'd love to share with everybody. Not bragging, just saying. But first, trucker killed avoiding a pickup truck that ignored a red light or ran a red light. Truck driver was killed while avoiding a reckless pickup in Texas. The accident happened on May 10th. According to the local news, the trucker was heading east on Farmers Road 787 when a white Ford pickup truck allegedly ignored a red light and drove into the path of the oncoming semi-truck with a green light. In other words, when you're going on two-lane roads sometimes, I don't know if a lot of you newbies have seen this at all, and they're doing bridge construction or something like that, they will close the 2-lane road down to 1 lane, and they will have like a portable stoplight. Don't ignore those stoplights. You need to stop, because maybe a mile down the road is the other end of the construction, and they can't see that who's coming, and they have a green light, and that's exactly what happened here. Let me get back to the article. After realizing what the pickup truck was doing, the truck driver immediately took evasive action to avoid a head-on crash with the pickup and swerved to his right. The truck went over the guardrail of the bridge and landed on the construction below, not far from the river. The pickup truck did not even stop for the wreck. 51-year-old unidentified truck driver was critically injured in the wreck and was transported to the local hospital in Houston, where he then later passed away. Police have not yet identified the pickup truck driver, and of course, no, they couldn't make any arrests. So somebody died because of people being in a hurry and being freaking stupid. You know, that crap is uncalled for. You know, slow your roll, as my girlfriend would say. Slow the hell down. And if you haven't been through Indianapolis lately, they started and closed downtown again. So you have to take 465 around Indianapolis. An 18-month interstate closure in downtown started. Indiana DOT is reminding drivers about a lengthy road. It's 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording this. I'm in North Wisconsin helping a girlfriend out. And I apologize about not getting an episode out in the month of May. It's just life took over and it just didn't happen, so I apologize about that. I appreciate everybody's patience. But anyway, my girlfriend got in real fast to take just a quick break from the news. My girlfriend was involved in a serious 4-wheeler accident, and she was just riding real slow around the yard. They still don't know what the heck happened to it, but it was a big 4-wheeler, and having fun with the grandkids, and somehow the throttle got bumped, and it sped up, spun, and ended up flipping and landed on top of her. She ended up dislocating her shoulder, breaking her humerus right underneath the ball part of your upper arm bone, which is the humerus, and breaking 4 ribs. She spent like overnight in the hospital. They relocated her shoulder, but I'm in northern Wisconsin for a week helping her with house mouse stuff and everything because she's right-hand dominant and it happened on her right side. But thank goodness she's okay and the grandkids are okay. But yeah, we've been friends for over 30 years, so of course I'm going to come in and help her, so I'm taking some time off, but I am still working on the show. So let's get back to the news. So it is 4 o'clock in the morning, in other words, while I'm trying to get this before I go to her house and help her. Let's get back to the news. The Indiana DOT is reminding drivers about a lengthy road closure in downtown Indianapolis that begins this weekend. According to Indiana DOT, the North Split Interchange will close for 18 months for a bridge and roadway reconstruction project. This involves I-65 and I-70 between the North Split and Washington Street. It happened on my birthday, May 15th. I-65, I-70 in the southbound lanes will be closed. The full closure of I-65 and I-70 is set to begin May 16th. The Indiana DOT provided driver information on the impact and the closure and construction will have on the interstates. So the I-70 westbound will remain open at the Keystone Interchange. It'll also remain open to I-65 northbound. It'll remain open to either Michigan or Ohio Street exits via collector or distributor. Will be accessible for Washington Street entrance ramp. Will be closed to I-70 westbound through traffic and to I-65 southbound. So it'll be closed. I would just, if you don't have to go through downtown, don't. If you're a local person, then you pay attention to this. Now, I-70 eastbound will be accessible from Pine Street entrance ramp. There will be detours at Michigan Street, New York Street, Vermont Street. Bridges are reconstructed, but the Pine Street entrance ramp onto I-70 eastbound will remain open. Now, from the airport, all exits remain open for eastbound traffic up to Washington Street. And then you're closed and you're screwed. So go back west, take 465 to get through. The West Illinois and Meridian Street interchanges, south side, can access I-65 southbound and I-65 northbound to Washington Street. Again, and it'll be closed. It'll be closed to I-70 eastbound through traffic and to I-65 northbound. Now, I-65 northbound will be accessible from the North Illinois Street on-ramp. It will remain open through the south split up to Washington Street again. And then I-65 northbound will be closed through traffic into I-70 westbound. Southbound I-65 will remain open to I-70 eastbound, except closed for 45 days in the fall of this year, 2021. I-65 southbound will be accessible from the West Street entrance ramp to I-70 eastbound only. It'll also be accessible from the Delaware Street entrance ramp to I-70 eastbound only. You can't go westbound. It will be accessible from the Washington Street entrance ramp. Additionally, beginning on or after May 17th, Vermont Street between Davison and Pine Streets will be closed to vehicular and pedestrian traffic while the bridges over Vermont Street are demolished as part of the North Split project. Vermont Street work is estimated to be completed on or after Memorial Day. During this local closure, eastbound traffic will be detoured to New York Street and westbound traffic will be detoured to Michigan Street. Again, if you will have, this is an 18-month closure, so don't keep getting on the radio asking, is, downtown open in Indianapolis? Is downtown open through the circle? It's closed. It'll be closed for a year and a half, so it's not going to be open till like the beginning of 2023. So for a year and the rest of this year and all of 2022, it's going to be closed. So just go around 465, which is a pain in the butt. Trust me, I don't like doing it, but I have to. And I have to remember not to go through downtown. And it'll say, read the highway signs, overhead signs. It'll remind you. And up next, officials order emergency shutdown of I-40 bridge in West Memphis after a crack was discovered. Transportation officials have shut down a major bridge at the Arkansas-Tennessee state line until further notice due to the discovery of a crack in the infrastructure. Now, if you haven't been through Memphis in a while, you have to, when you're coming in on 40, you have to get off on 240. And then go down through to 55. Take 55 north. That'll bring you back to 40. So you want to go 240. I believe it's north. Don't get me lying. And then to 55 north. And that'll bring you on the other side of town. And you just bypass 40 altogether. Otherwise, what I like to do when I'm coming in on 40, I take 385. 385 will swing you back around to 240. 240, you go straight through to 55, take it north, and, it's a lot of zigzagging around, and then you're on the West Memphis, Arkansas side. And this happened around May 10th or 11th. All lanes of the Hernando de Soto Bridge, let's get back to the article, it carries I-40 over the Mississippi River in Memphis are closed until further notice. According to the Arkansas DOT, a crack was discovered, and this is in a steel beam, not a concrete beam. It's a steel beam. During a routine inspection, they'll need to perform further inspections to make sure that the bridge is safe before traffic will be allowed to cross. And then here is the picture of the crack. So as you can see, if you're watching the video, as you can see, it's a crack clean through that steel girder. Going across the river, you see the river below. So that is kind of scary on that. And in this story, USDOT announced that 10 states will allow flexibility for overweight trucks to transport fuel on interstates at federal highways following that Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. As I reported, it was shut down, that we all know. They were halting 2.5 million barrels per day of fuel shipments. The pipeline is responsible for delivering approximately 45% of the fuel consumed by the East Coast, as we know. And the DOT just shared a press release. But yeah, they'll allow overweight trucks, tandem trucks, triaxle trucks and everything to carry more to help get it up and back running again, which it is as of, like I said, as of recording this show, excuse me. Like I said, it's early in the morning. I've had like 2 swallows of coffee while I'm trying to record this. So yeah, I'm sorry about stumbling around and everything. And in our next article, explosive hauling semi-truck is forced off the road by a brake-checking motorist. There you go. Keep screwing around, people. You end up get your asses killed. A semi-truck hauling explosive crashed in Maine on Tuesday, narrowly avoiding a disastrous situation. Accident happened Tuesday, May 11th in Maine around 12:30 in the afternoon. They were hauling explosives for a Maine drilling and blasting along Interstate 95 when another vehicle cut the driver off. This forced the semi-truck onto a grassy shoulder where it struck a guardrail. Thankfully, the impact did not detonate any of the explosives, and the 48-year-old truck driver was not hurt. The rig suffered only minor damage, including 3 flat tires. I mean, he apparently must have really cut him off that he had to slam on the brakes so hard. In this next story, police investigating and making arrests in a string of unrelated highway shootings southeast of Nashville. Police are investigating a string of unrelated highway shootings southeast of Nashville that happened back April. So far, 4 suspects have been arrested, but many of them are still at large. According to the local news, in April, reports of suspects shooting cars and pointing guns at passing drivers have increased in Murfreesboro. While police believe that shootings are all unrelated, they are still working to determine who is responsible. The rash of shootings, not in April, this happened back in the early part of March, on these shootings on Interstate 24, when a 19-year-old Ricky Compton sustained critical injuries in a shooting. 2 suspects were charged with attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Then, on April 19th, someone in a car fired shots at Juan Prada while he was driving an I-24 between 840 and Almaville Road. That case was yet to be solved. Anyone with information on that shooting is asked to contact Detective Richard Brinkley at area code 615-904-3045. If you witnessed the shooting back on around April 19th on Interstate 84, between I-840 and Almaville Road, please call Detective Richard Brinkley at 615-904-3045. Then on May 7th, the next round of shootings began. Back to the article. One motorist was traveling along Interstate 24 near Smyrna when another driver fired 5 shots into his car. A witness was able to give a description of the car, and police stopped the suspect and took him into custody. 24-year-old Cable Trent Hancock since been charged with attempted first-degree murder, pending charges for endangering other motorists as well. He's being held on $250,000 bond. Then, on May 8th, A woman called police after she believes someone fired a gun at her vehicle and shattered a window on 840 near Sulphur Springs Road. The incident left the woman with minor cuts on the side of her face. Police later confirmed that the vehicle was shot at least 3 times. Anyone with information on that case should call Detective Ty Downing at 615-904-3022. Then, on Monday, May 10th, a trucker contacted police to report another driver pointing a handgun at him on Interstate 24 near Buchanan Road. Police investigated, and 38-year-old Brian Ferguson was arrested and charged with aggravated assault and released on $11,000 bond. He will appear in court in September. Despite the influx in shootings, police believe they are all unrelated. Quote, at this time, we don't see a definitive connection, but we are still examining the evidence from this case, said the Rutherford County Sheriff. And up next, a driver is questioned while pulling a fire-damaged trailer on bare rims. Excuse me. Police stopped a semi-truck hauling a severely damaged trailer in Pennsylvania. The incident happened on May 11th. According to the local news, officers noticed a big rig hauling a trailer with a clearly fire-damaged and on bare rims. So they pulled the semi-truck over at the intersection of 6th Avenue and Burgoyne Road in Altoona. Upon further investigation, the officers were told that the trailer had been damaged in a fire several months ago and was being hauled to a junkyard. Officers are still investigating why the trailer was being driven to the junkyard instead of being transported appropriately. Because the suckers are too cheap to put it on a flatbed trailer and to haul it off, when all they had to do was really change the tires out, and nobody would ever said anything one way or the other. I was coming out of Washington State, and a truck was pulling a Pam trailer that must have been laid over on its side. They had those big flatbed ratchet straps wrapped around the trailer to hold all the pieces together, but it wasn't on its rims or anything, and it was, still pullable, I guess not drivable, but pullable. And they had 3 big ratchet straps wrapped around the thing to hold the trailer together, and it 80 miles an hour going down the interstate. I'm like, are you kidding me? And now let's take a short break. But before we do, let me go ahead and let everybody know that I will be changing the format a little bit of the show. Here in the next week or two, I am going to be introducing a new segment to the show, and it's going to be called the Rookie Roundtable. And what that is every week I'm going to be discussing, or having a special guest or something like that, but I'm going to be discussing something out here that drivers should know, rookies should know, this kind of thing. So we're going to be starting a new, or stories, or heartening stories, or something like, anything like that. And give y'all a little bit of break from the news. So it will be the last segment of the show. It will be called Rookie Roundtable, and in the future I'll be telling you more about that. So let's take this episode of Julia's Trucking Cafe is brought to you by My Patriot Supply. As truck drivers, we all know what it's like to be at a shipper's or receiver's and have to wait to be loaded for hours on end. Am I right? Especially produce coolers and paper mills. That's why you need to be prepared with extra food in your truck, especially with the bad weather coming in, like it is over here in Kansas, up in the Dakotas and Minnesota. 90 was shut down, Interstate 94 was shut down, along with 29. What are you going to do if there's no food and a truck stop was without power? That's why you need to stay prepared with My Patriot Supply. Now, it's not what you're thinking. My Patriot Supply is delicious emergency food. They have food kits that are good up to 25 years. They come in a slimline tote that you can easily store in your food pantry or under your bunk. I can speak from experience. After living through Hurricane Katrina, we were without power for 10 days, me, my mother, son, and I. If it weren't for the MREs that were flown into us, we wouldn't have any food. There was 4 60-foot pine trees that broke in half during that storm and crossed my driveway and landlocked me in. That's when My Patriot Supply would have come in handy. If I knew then what I know now about My Patriot Supply, I definitely have some of this food stockpiled in my pantry. Now, for a limited time, you could get a 1-week supply of food in a handy and neat-looking ammo can, like you see here, for just $39. Look at all that food you get. It's a week's worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinners, just for $39. How do you get it? Where do you go, do you ask? Well, I'll tell you. Just go to my website at juliastrucketcafe.com, click on the Emergency Food Supply tab, scroll down and click on any of the images to find out more information and get yours today. They even offer gluten-free food for under $100. Winter weather is here. What would you do if the interstate was shut down, just like I was talking about? You need to get My Patriot Supply and get it today. In this story, a man intentionally stumbles into the side of a moving semi-truck, which then shuts down the interstate. This happened on May 12th around 5:30 in the afternoon. A man suffered serious injuries and caused an Ohio interstate to shut down after he intentionally ran into the side of a moving semi-truck. A Toledo police unit responded to the scene to check on the safety of a man who allegedly walking and stumbled on I-280 North. Authorities found the 31-year-old man on the exit ramp for Manhattan. When officers asked if he was okay or needed a ride, he allegedly ran straight into the side of a moving semi. According to a police report, the man stated that the act was intentional and he was trying to kill himself. He suffered non-life-threatening injuries. I-280 was closed for approximately 30 minutes. And a dust devil gives Las Vegas highway drivers quite a show. Drivers on a Nevada highway made an unusual sighting on Wednesday morning, May 12th. The calm, clear, and warm conditions made the location right along the side of the interstate the perfect spot for a dust devil. It touched out on May 10th. I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I was guessing at the date because the article was wrote on the 13th, so my apologies. Dust devils are formed in upward motion of the wind from the ground to the sky, and they are typically short-lived, which makes this sighting captured on video even rarer. And you can watch the full video that will be in the bottom of this article. The show gets to be about an hour, so and then playing the videos and everything, it takes a lot of time, and it takes me even longer to get the show done. Still driving 70 hours a week, but anyway. So I'm trying to do the best I can. And thank you, everybody, for your concern. I appreciate all the emails and all the shout-outs and the reach-outs from you listeners and your patience when I'm struggling with trying to get this going and keep it going. Please, if you have any comments or anything, good, bad, or ugly, I really, really, really need the feedback. It really helps me to stay motivated. Give me a thumbs up. Comment on Facebook if you're listening to the show on the website or anything like that. I really, really appreciate the comments, any sort of feedback, because that I know I have listeners. Because unless I look at the stats, which I will share with you here in just a little bit, I don't know. I don't know if people are listening or not, unless I get feedback. So please share your feedback with me. I greatly appreciate it. And again, I apologize about the stumbling around. It is early in the morning. It's just starting to get light out now. But anyway, I digress. Let me get back to the article. In this story, a load of beer is spilled after a motorist pulls out in front of a moving semi-truck. Here we go again. A load of beer was scattered across the highway in Texas on May 13th. According to the local news, a semi-truck was driving along when a car pulled out from Highway 35 bypass in front of him. The trucker tried to avoid the collision and ended up overturning on the highway. Pickup towing a boat then collided with the overturned semi and the trailer. Pickup truck driver was pinned inside of their vehicle after a short period before they were rescued. They were then transported to a nearby hospital, and the driver is okay. No other injuries were reported. The wreck broke open the trailer, and multiple cases of beer along the roadway. It spilled all over the place. So that's alcohol abuse. And in this story, another wreck in a different area of the country, but officers had to break cab windows and pull this driver to safety. A woman was pulled from the cab of her wrecked truck by an officer who happened to be driving by the incident in West Virginia. This happened on May 13th, around 6:40 in the morning. According to the local news outlet, a Princeton police chief was headed to work on Interstate 77 going south when he saw the semi leave the highway. The runaway rig then barreled down the embankment, downed a power pole, and landed on its side. Gray promptly stopped his car, ran down the embankment, and rushed to the wrecked truck. With the help of two other officers and a passing motorist, Gray was able to break a window in the overturned truck cab and pull the driver to safety. Unfortunately, the ragtag crew was unable to rescue the woman still stuck in the truck. So a rescue squad had to come and cut open the cab in order to pull her to safety. Both occupants of the truck came away with only, bumps and bruises. The wreck caused a small area of the power outages, prompting the early dismissal of a nearby school and leaving more than 50 residents without power. But the power was restored later on that day, I should say. Like I said, sorry, stumbling through this. Now, this is a person that I would like to get on the show if she, if I can. I've reached out to her. I have not heard anything back as of yet. I'll reach out to her again. In this next story, lose weight and move freight with this trucker-inspired workouts. You could find her on TikTok. I don't like going on TikTok. That's my personal preference. But I would like to get her on the Rookie Roundtable. This trucker is on a mission to help drivers stay healthy and happy while on the road through fitness and diet recommendations catered specifically to the trucking lifestyle. Candace, also known as Fit's Possible Trucking and the Trucker's Trainer, has been in the fitness industry for 17 years but recently made a career shift to become a truck driver. She's now passing her knowledge of fitness along to truck drivers while out on the road by posting workout and health videos on her social media platforms. Candace provides a range of workout recommendations that can be done inside or outside of your truck and requires little to no equipment. You can watch some of examples of Candace's quick truck stop workouts in this article that will be listed in the show notes. So, Candace, if you're listening, I do want to get you on the show for the Rookie Roundtable. So I would appreciate, any kind of email. I have reached out to her. I'll go ahead and try to reach out to her again. I would love to get her on. So a little bit of good news in this, crap that's going on all the time. And up next, a trucker is facing DUI charges after crashing a load of liquor. A truck driver who crashed a load of liquor into the back of another semi now faces multiple charges, including a DUI. According to North Dakota Highway Patrol, the crash occurred on I-29 near Grand Forks, North Dakota. Authorities were called to the scene around 10 in the morning on May 13th. According to a truck driver, Brian Foos of Mobeetie, Texas, ran his trailer hauling alcohol into the back of another semi that had just gotten onto the interstate. The truck that was struck had stopped on the shoulder. After the initial crash, Foos then drove into the median, breaking through a cable barrier and crashing into a southbound pickup truck. Several hundred feet of cable barrier were damaged because of the wreck. The driver of the pickup truck was a Bismarck North Dakota, and was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. The driver of the other semi-truck, 60-year-old Glenn Burquest of Grand Forks, and Foos were both injured in the crash, it says. Foos faces charges of carry required, DUI, possession of alcohol in a commercial vehicle, and illegally carrying a concealed weapon. He didn't have I can't say he did not have a concealed carry permit. That may not be true. I don't know, so I can't speculate on that. But at the same time, if he did have a concealed carry permit, a lot of states do not recognize one state's concealed carry permit. You have to, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to know what states, recognize. Like, for example, say I live in Mississippi and I got a concealed carry permit, and I go up to Illinois, and something happens and they find the gun. I could still get arrested for having the gun in my truck, okay? Because Illinois may not recognize Mississippi's concealed carry permit. And since I live in Mississippi, I can't have an Illinois concealed carry permit. You know what I mean? So, people are saying, oh, there's nothing in this, Fmcsa about carrying a gun or not carrying a gun or something like that. You take your chance. I'm not saying yay or nay on that. From what I understand, there isn't anything about not being able to carry a weapon in your truck, per se a gun, and a handgun. But you have to know the laws of which states will recognize your state's concealed carry permit. That's the big question right there. All right, so let's get back to the news. More than a half a ton of marijuana in this article was discovered beneath the floor of a trailer. Border Patrol agents discovered more than half a ton of marijuana hidden beneath the floorboards of an empty semi-truck. This discovery was made May 11th in Pharr, Texas. According to the local news, agents were inspecting an empty semi-trailer crossing the border from Mexico and decided to take a closer look. With the use of non-invasive imaging, in other words, x-rays, they discovered 300 packages of alleged marijuana hidden beneath the floorboards of the trailer. The packages have been estimated street value of $250,000, $250,000, and weighed in at over 1,000 pounds. Quote from the article, although some of the other hard narcotics may be more lucrative to drug smuggling organizations, large interceptions of marijuana like these still keep our community safe, which is the top priority within our border security mission, said the port director. So good job, guys, down on the border. Kudos to you. Now, get a load of what happened in this story. If you're watching the video, you see the semi-trailer at the top of the screen. You see the cars in the bottom, but look close in the middle of the picture. Yes, that's a Cessna plane. No vehicles were hit. Passengers expected to recover after a small plane lands on the highway. 4 people were hurt after a small plane made an emergency landing on an Illinois interstate. This happened May 13th on Veterans Memorial Tollway in New Lenox. According to the local news, they didn't have no landing gear. The plane made an emergency landing due to unknown mechanical issues. Yeah, it was like a glider. It skidded to a stop. If you look at if you go into the article and look at the next picture down, the landing gear are not out. Police say that the pilot was somehow able to avoid every vehicle on the highway, and his quick thinking prevented a more serious accident. All 4 people inside of the plane were taken to a nearby hospital. Pilot and 2 21-year-old passengers suffered broken backs as a result of the crash, but the 15-year-old passenger apparently walked away without a scratch. Quote, I'm just glad he had enough experience to do what he did, said the stepfather of the 21-year-olds. It could have ended really different. He's a real hero. Well, if you don't have any landing gear, and this interstate was not blacktop, it was concrete. You're like a falling rock out of the sky, and planes don't bounce. I have several brothers that are pilots, and we all know this. Planes don't bounce. As the father kept saying, he definitely saved all of their lives, that's for sure, said, the woman's mother. I mean, it would have been way worse than what it was. Quote, she said she just closed her eyes and hoped for the best. The mother continued, hugged her best friend, told her she loved her. added the stepfather. The pilot is expected to undergo surgery for his injuries. The plane has since been cleared from the highway, but officials are still investigating what happened. But you can see from the picture, there's no wheels underneath it. So, he skidded to a stop along concrete and did not hit anybody else. But from the bounce is the reason why everybody broke their back, because of the jarring, I'm sure. And in this story, $500,000 in electronics were stolen from a parked semi-truck. Police are looking for people responsible for the theft of $500,000 worth of electronics from a semi-truck in California. This happened on May 12th in Hanford, California, just after 6 o'clock in the evening. According to the local news, deputies were called to the area and spoke with the owner of the truck. The unidentified owner told officers that he followed the thief's vehicle as it fled the scene packed with the electronics. They described the getaway vehicle as a maroon 2016 Honda Accord with California tags and even recorded the number. They also mentioned that 2 white vans were with the Honda at the time of the burglary. Detectives ran the plate number and learned that the vehicle is registered in L.A. As of May 14th, no arrests were made in the case, and anyone with information on the burglary is asked to call Detective Joshua Hunt. Now, I wanted to take just a moment and to tell you about some stats that I found out about our little trucking show. A friend of mine ran this name of this little website, and Julia's Trucking Cafe, and into a website that does worldwide stats. And I found out that there is over 2.2 million podcasts in the world. And thanks to you, all of my great listeners that haven't left me yet and are very, very patient with me, you have helped our little show rise to the top 10% of that 2.2 million. So I really want to give a shout out to all of you listeners. Thank you for your continued support. You have helped this show grow in leaps and bounds over the last 3.5 years I've been doing this. Don't give up on me. I greatly appreciate it. We've just been going through some stuff like we all have. It's called life. So thank you again so much. I greatly appreciate all of your support. Be on the lookout for stories from the Rookie Roundtable. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you who tune in to listen to me each week here on the cafe. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe using the link below, or on CloudHub, please subscribe at the top of the page. I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. As I said, please, if you wouldn't mind, stop in if you're on Facebook and give us a like on Facebook. Also join our discussion group at Julia's Trucking Cafe Regulars. And if you wouldn't mind, subscribing to our newsletter at juliastruckingcafe.com/newsletter. So thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time. You have been listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe Truckin' News Hour. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Take care. Have a blessed day.